What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at Blast Premier Fall Finals 2023. First off, last event didn't go that well. I got decent points, but honestly, Ens is the biggest problem here, who didn't really show up at all, and FaZe won the entire thing, so a lot of people had FaZe players, and due to that, your season points standing suffers, but I'm not too unhappy with this gamble. Nip almost beat FaZe in their first game, so it could have been a very different result in this one, but didn't go my way. If you didn't see my last video, I already kind of made a lineup. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go for that lineup. I would definitely recommend you check out that video though, because it was probably one of the cooler videos I've made, at least in a long while. A bit different, but certainly still HLTV fantasy related. So I would definitely recommend you check that one out before you watch this one. So basically that video told me, if I remember correctly, to go with Carrigan, Flamesy, Mezzy, then Hobbit, Boomage, or was it actually? It was probably, instead of Flames, going with Spinks. Yeah. This is kind of the recommended lineup from my Excel sheet. I'll go over my thoughts on the entire group, and why I think it's going for this. And I think, honestly, this lineup, if you don't want to think too much, I would just go for something like this. It's got enough of a gamble with the Cloud9. It's got Vitality with Spinks at a very good cost, I think. I would say Spinks is one of the best value picks at that price. I think there's very good merit to go for that lineup. You can see it here, right? Actually, I'm so surprised that Spinks isn't more heavily picked, but I guess people just want to go for more these silver options. A lot of FaZe pickers, which makes sense. They've won the last 3 events or something in CS2 especially. They have dominated. So yeah, Carrigan, Robs, Twists, Rain makes a lot of sense that these are players that people are going towards. Also makes sense because they're playing Nip again in this opener. It's a best of 3. I find it very unlikely that FaZe don't make it through this. So if we look at just the matchups, I would say FaZe beats NIP. Cloud9 versus Na'Vi is probably one of the closest. Probably the closest in my eyes of these opening matchups. Both teams have made changes in the past months or so. Cloud9 bringing in Boomage, Na'Vi with Wonderful. I don't know why I expect this, but I want to kind of gamble towards Na'Vi. I know my Excel sheet tells me to go towards Cloud9. I personally, as well as betting odds, favor Cloud9 slightly. I would say Cloud9 are very slight favorites. Just because of how good they've already kind of played with this lineup, whereas Na'Vi is going to have their debut with this lineup in this event. And I could definitely see Na'Vi being in a situation where they're like, these rest of the year events are going to be kind of just for practice, and we're trying to kind of get our game together, and then next year we really start trying to get those high finishes. I think that's probably what they are thinking themselves. But something in me is telling me that usually when Alexi B has these new players, I think there's some level of a honeymoon period where they're probably gonna do quite well. So there's a part of me that wants to gamble with Na'Vi. And also I have to take some gambles. I probably am not going FaZe just because their prices are pretty expensive, and I don't want to go with what everyone else is going with because I don't see the point in that at this stage. Vitality heroic, definitely Vitality favored. Dupree is playing against his old team. That's pretty interesting, I think. Adian still playing with heroic, also very interesting. Heroic do have a lot to I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question that Vitality win, especially because they're playing in Copenhagen. So all of these Danish players are gonna want to show what they're made of, but I would say that also Vitality bringing in Messi, it's maybe not the easiest transition, but I still definitely favor Vitality in this matchup. And then Complexity Astralis. I would definitely favor Complexity, especially based on recent form. They have looked quite good, honestly. Astralis, not so great. Also, Stabn and Yabi may be joining them pretty soon. So there could be changes coming that always kind of throws things out of balance. But I would favor Complexity slightly over Astralis. Players I'm gravitating towards, definitely Spinks. I think Spinks is underpicked, undercosted, and could definitely be like the best value pick out of the entire event. Then if I want to go towards Navi, I think Wonderful makes a ton of sense. He's been dominating in tier 2. I don't think he's gonna have as good of a showing in tier 1 as like 1.29, but still for 210, he's definitely been discounted, and I think that's something worth considering. These are two players I would probably want to build around. Then I have to go for someone who's cheaper from Navi. I think Alexi B honestly makes sense in that case. He's not that much less expensive than maybe Ima and JL, and maybe he should be a bit less expensive, but I still think he can definitely drag up to par with those guys at times. Apex probably makes sense. Actually, if you go Apex, maybe you can go for like a JL who's looked really like he's enjoying himself, honestly, on this game. And Spinks, and then we have 197. The Hobbit probably makes a lot of... No, wait, if we're going for the Navi gamble, it doesn't make a ton of sense, actually. Like, who's the last team I would pick from then? I would probably go towards FaZe. Not sure. I could, of course, believe in the NIP upset. Like, not... It's kind of crazy, but also kind of not. It's definitely not... Like, I'll show the Excel sheet here again. I haven't really changed around anything. But if you want to look at, like, just compare players to each other, then this is kind of the number you should be looking at. Like, who are some of the better picks? And look at players from NIP, like Config and Esetag, for example. No, Config and Alex, sorry. And Esetag, all at the expected negative points total. So, or points total per dollar. So I guess I should kind of steer away from those guys. If you go for Carrigan, who can you get instead of JL, for example? Not really anyone. Becomes interesting in terms of the money you spend. I do want to have Wonderful, I think, as well as probably JL as well. I mean, I'd rather have like a bit in this spot, but 7k is kind of too tough to get to. You could, of course, go instead of Spinks, you could go for like Mezzy Apex. Now we have like enough for Bit and Wonderful. Leaves 4k in the bank, which is quite a bit. There's someone else who's better. Like JT might be a really nice pick here, actually, because we expect him to beat Astralis at least. Maybe don't expect him to get forward from here, but he's also been kind of doing okay fragging wise in this game, the new game. So like a Gambly, out of Gambly lineups, I think this is probably the one I want to go for. Honestly, I get a lot of the pieces who I would want. Like Mezzy, I think is, as the model also showed, although I didn't really... I'm not sure how I should even alter his like stats, but yeah, without any alteration, he definitely makes the cut. I'm pretty happy with this, honestly. I get a lot of the, like, if not, it also makes it a lot more enjoyable for me to watch the event, because I can just cheer for the expensive Navi players I have, like Bit and Wonderful. So I guess if I really believe that Navi's gonna do super well here, then this is kind of worth it. It's very risky, and I would never do this if it wasn't for the fact that the season leaderboard is already kind of done for me. I'm also only going for the top X percenters. I will definitely make like in one of the global leagues, like not this real league. I will make that that lineup that I made, that the Excel sheet kind of recommends, and I will put boosters and rows and everything, and kind of try hard just to kind of compare how well it does in this situation. And I will share the results of that as well with you in the next video. Remind me to do that if I for some reason forget in the next video, but yeah, I really want to see how that one does as well. Also, like, I could be in the future making some alterations to the model if I want, like trying to more accurately predict the expected points. I guess that's really the only thing that I can adjust as much. Like, the only thing I can really be adjusting is how high the expected points are. Whether it be by somehow making the predictions better, going deeper in the tournament. It depends on a few of those things. Okay, roles. One obvious role, really not the highest min-off percentage for whatever reason, but I think I would expect it to be higher in this scenario. I would say Headshot Machine makes sense every time here. IGL on Apex should be the one to go for. Just making sure there's no like really good role for him apart from it. There isn't. Headshots is already gone. If multi-fragger, probably will be multi-fragger. It's tough to say because we don't really know his, like, we know he's gonna play in Mage's spot, of course, but we don't quite know how high his T-side rating, for example, is gonna be. I would say multi-fragger though is something I would probably feel comfortable going with. JT, he probably should be just on support. Yeah, that makes sense. Pretty good roles, I would say. Then boosters for the first match against Heroic and Cloud9. Cloud9's gonna be a tough duel. I don't know if there's any like super good aimers or headshot shooters on that team. ASD makes sense. I guess Heroic, we're expecting it to be a 2-0 against Heroic. At least we should expect it to be that. Pretty good ace and pistol round percentages. Will flash assist on Apex as well. Apex is pretty good on these kinds of like the boosters as well. Kind of going over what I'm gonna expect be the best ones. I suppose this is for later, probably pretty good. I would say Mizzy pistol is good enough. And then what do I put on JT? He's kind of the wild cannon in this. Like, I'm not quite sure what I should put on him. It's for the whole event, by the way, this fantasy. So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 16. In the best case scenario, we're gonna have 18 boosters to use, which is all of them. So we have to always put every booster, essentially. That's something you should always calculate, at least to some extent. I think assist is close enough. There's a lot of good booster I can put on Apex apart from assist as well. I will just make the, let's go event overview. Let's go for one of these leagues. Join. We'll join. We will join. Actually, I'll rename that somehow. I want to have Excel team. And we will have it's Spinks, Mezzy, Carrigan, Umage, Hobbit. Umage is probably also having slightly inflated stats, so I could if I have time to go over the model and kind of adjust the numbers a little bit before the event starts, I might change this lineup just slightly, but probably not too much, and I don't think I will have the time to do that anyways, but yeah, in yes, multi-fragger. Better than that, yes. Go for that. Get multi earlier on Mezzi. I guess we could go for T-side rating here then. Only one face player and it's Harrigan. Maybe noob. Like, or leader. Could go leader and one off Harrigan. Feels odd, but it's not like the worst idea, I think. That probably just gets put on Twitch the eco-friendly. Yeah, and then Hobbit on to... This is a nightmare. I guess support is actually kind of decent. Could go IGL. Let's just do it. Kerrigan on IGL. I think it makes sense. We still expect FaZe to win, I guess, that upper bracket. KSD. Best pistol, probably. So we can put it on you. It's not that exact. This is the best place to do that. And I think a lot of these are gonna be weird percentage-wise. I don't know what I would put on to Boomage, for example. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense. Let's do that. So this is then the Excel team, and I'm gonna manage it as if it was a real team. And we're gonna see, kind of compare which one gets higher points. The league placement doesn't matter in this stage, in this case, but yeah. Either way, if you enjoy this kind of content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Also check out my last video if you didn't already. Yes, it's a pretty interesting one, and I will probably be doing some updates on it later on. But yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.